Thank you. Mr. Bates.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the Madam Chair. I appreciate you and the ranking member holding this hearing today. It's been very insightful. I appreciate all of the witnesses being here. I've read your testimony and listened to your testimony carefully. I appreciate very much. And it's good to see Ms. White here representing Intel, which is so important to my community and my congressional district, and thank you. And I only want to say this with regard to Dr. Moore and the Ohio State University. Oddly enough, the largest engineering school in the country is right there at Arizona State University. So I just had to get that out. No competition from me, though. I just want you to know that. I'm grateful that you're here. I always prefer, and most people on this committee have heard me say this before, that the states and the private sector, rather than the federal government, take the lead on a lot of the issues we're talking about, particularly in expanding STEM opportunities. But I'm confident that regardless how we get there, I think all of us want to, in this room, share the same end goal. In order to remain internationally competitive, it is critical that an increasing number of American students are able to keep up with, and actually, in my mind, ideally outperform students from China, Western Europe, and elsewhere in the developed and developing world. The data suggests that the U.S. has made great strides over the past decade, even though we have a long way to go, particularly in the post-secondary level. According to research compiled by the National Center for Educational Statistics, graduate enrollments in science and engineering grew 15% over the past 10 years. Additionally, Latino, African American, and female participation in graduate STEM education increased by 122%, 35%, and 37% respectively over the same period. Certainly there's more work to be done, particularly in K-12 education, but this seems to indicate we may be moving in the right direction. And going back to this private sector for a moment, I think so many efforts to encourage STEM and diversity hiring should originate in the private sector. And I appreciate Dr. Moore mentioning what Chase, I can't remember who else, J.P. Morgan Chase has done to assist Ohio State University. But clearly Intel has been a real leader in this area. The statistics speak for themselves: an 8.5% growth in female workforce and 17.7% growth in the number of historically underrepresented minorities just between 2015 and 2018 alone. Those accomplishments are testaments to your leadership, Ms. Y, and also Intel. And I also want to thank Dr. Jemison for her comment with regarding two-year schools and their ability to turn out very accomplished technicians in the STEM field. We use those, and we see them in my district. We have, I'm trying to think, Boeing has many machine shops around my district filled with a diverse portfolio of workers because they've reached out and teamed up with community colleges. I'm most interested in learning a little bit more about the Tech Learning Lab and Intel Future Skills programs that you referenced in your testimony, Ms. Y, and I'm wondering if you could give us a little more insight into your own engagement with these programs and share with us why you think they've been so successful at encouraging more young people to pursue STEM education.
Thank you. And I'm from the University of South Carolina, the other USC. And currently working on a PhD, obviously, at Arizona State University, so got to give it up for AZ. Just two things. So what's important about both of these programs and all of the programs that Intel is currently driving, it's really about access and opportunity, because in every corner of our communities, even like the rural community that I grew up in, there's a student there waiting to be engaged. And I think far too often we talk about the narrative of the students aren't interested, when quite frankly, the students are interested. It's on us to bring the STEM and STEAM to these students. So both the Tech Learning Labs as well as the Intel Future Skills, these programs are put in place to do that, to ensure that in our communities and to ensure that communities around the nation, that we can give access to these students so that they are developing the critical skills that they will need to compete in this nation and to help Intel with its future workforce. So specifically the Tech Learning Lab, you could think of it as a really cool bus that's driving through the rural communities in your neighborhood, and that bus is equipped with all sorts of fun technologies that you can just geek out. That's kind of the visualization for that. The Intel's Future Skills program is very similar in that it gives the students hands-on skills and entrepreneurship skills so that they can do hands-on, because the research, and Dr. Jemison will agree with this, it's easier for our students to see it if they can actually touch the technology and do the hands-on projects. So it's a very easy way to give our students access, and I think all of us could play a role in that and do more of that.